What is going on, you guys? I am coming to you today with my top 10 Legion predictions. This is actually doing some community feedback because I had actually asked you guys what you guys thought were some of your most anticipated or predicted units, and I've incorporated that with some of my feedback. So this is half me and half you guys. So it's not necessarily ordered, numerically, like perfectly. It's basically just the top 10, not necessarily in the, best or worst order. So we're going to go ahead and start off with one that I think is important in that we kind of already had it teased a little bit. Scout Troopers. I think Scout Troopers are definitely coming because we've already seen the Scout keyword teased, on one of the upcoming deployment cards. So that would, and also Scout Troopers are iconic. I mean, they're all over the Battle of Endor, which is definitely featured in here. We already have them on speeder bikes, however, so it's in theory, it's possible that may be the only way we get them is on the speeder bikes. We may not actually get them on foot. So, but I think it's pretty likely that we will. So that's, and a lot of you guys also predicted that as well. Plus, I think the teasing of the Scout keyword kind of gives it away a little bit. We'll see. Next up, Echo Base Troopers. So we have Snow Troopers, right? So it only stands to reason, why wouldn't we also eventually get the Echo Base Troopers? Another thing I think that kind of goes this way is that like Veers came with environmental gear, and it seems like that's something that would go on Echo Base Troopers. Plus, they'd be great to paint up. They could very easily work in this game. And, and if we do get them, it's going to make me feel really bad that my Hoth board doesn't have trenches. So I'm going to have to figure out some kind of way to do trenches or to incorporate trenches. I've seen a lot of people, build full boards that have sunken recesses. I don't think I can really do that. I don't think I have the storage space to store an entire board like that. But I've seen other people build them up like off the ground, like this little ramp with an entrench, and I could probably swing something like that. But yes, these guys are probably gonna make it to this game, and I think they'd be another type of core, just like Snow Troopers are, and it would definitely, and they would have. They would probably have some kind of dig in defensive unit. And the only reason, and I'm giving like pros and cons. The only reason why not is it seems like Fleet Troopers are kind of fitting that bill right now, so we may not get these guys. I was surprised that we're getting Fleet Troopers instead of these guys, because it almost seemed like these guys would have worked better for that. Well, but I'm sure there's a good reason. I'm sure we'll see these guys eventually. Next up, the man, the myth, the legend, Boba Fett. Boba Fett is, one of the most requested and anticipated units all across. A lot of you guys put in Boba Fett, and so it only stands to reason that he's going to show up. We've got, he's one of the coolest characters in the game. He's one of the things that people always want to have on their tabletop. So I don't have any doubts that he will, but the real big question is, how will he show up? First off, there's the question of other factions. We haven't seen any units in this game yet that match in a Scum and Villainy faction. So if they're going to launch a Scum and Villainy faction, naturally you would see Boba Fett there. If they're not going to launch a Scum and Villainy faction, then he would be Imperial. But would he be a commander? Would Boba Fett be issuing orders, or would he be some type of special forces unit? All these things remain to be seen. So there's a lot of speculation on where he would be and what format he would come in. And this kind of also ties into the entire new, what factions, if any, would they add. I would rather than a Scum and Villainy faction. I would rather them do prequel factions, just because of the wealth of stuff that's available in the Clone Wars. Or in theory, they could do both. I would be okay with that as well. Then we'd have a lot of factions in this game, which some would argue that's fine, and that's okay with me as well. But at a certain point, when you're fleshing out entire factions and then comparing them to the Empire, you kind of start to run kind of thin on things that you can do. But I would rather see Clone Wars factions than these. But either way, I have no idea how Boba Fett is going to arrive, but I'm pretty sure he is going to arrive. Next up, this one's kind of a multi, and it's tanks in general. A lot of you guys wanted tanks. but there weren't specific ones. And there's a lot of different tanks, and I don't even have pictures of all of them on here. But we already have this hover tank in Imperial Assault, although that one was grossly small, like really, really, really tiny compared to how it would be. We've got our Rogue One tank, we've got Rebel tanks, we've got like the Juggernauts as well, which I guess you could say maybe aren't tanks, maybe they are. But we've got a wealth of tanks, and this is a game that absolutely should have tanks. And I guess you could have tanks of all various different sizes, but definitely tanks I think will be coming. There's the Empire seems to have the only tanks that we've seen on screen, but I know the Rebels have some in the games. And if you play the mobile app games, there are a lot of new canon vehicles in there that they could do as well. But there's a lot of Rebel tanks that have showed up in the games over the years too that I think would make great additions to the game. I would love for the Rebels to get tanks. I want a Rebel tank, and that would be really cool. But I think we'll definitely see tanks showing up sooner or later. I mean, they've done it in Imperial Assault already, so there's no reason why not to do tanks. Especially since we have ATSTs too. Almost everything about that works. You just you add some design differences, make them slower, and maybe higher hit points. Because the ATST's got those legs and it's got those. Definitely, there are a lot of different ways that you could do it, but that's my prediction. There is definitely tanks. A lot of you guys predicted that as well. This one's another kind of a group prediction. Is Rebels. The crew of the Ghost, I think, should totally make an appearance, and the question is in what format. And we're getting all these guys now for Imperial Assault, so I think if we do get the crew of the Ghost, it won't be for a while, because I don't think they'll want to cut. Like we've already seen that they stopped announcing stuff for Imperial Assault when Legion was getting ready to come out, because they don't want to cut into their own sales. So when this Ghost crew comes out, it's probably going to be at least probably a year before we get the equivalent for a different game. Just because they don't want people to say, oh, do I want the smaller Ghost crew models, or do I want the ones that are 5% larger and more detailed? So so that's one reason that they actually might not do it at all, but I think they will. And if they do this for Legion, wouldn't it be cool to have like a whole unit of all named characters? Like they would make a cool special forces unit. All of these, like Sabine, Hera, Kanan, Ezra, Zeb, and Chopper, like all as one unit. Like that would be really, really cool. It'd have to be crazy expensive too, like maybe like a 300-point unit. But that would be awesome. I would love to see something like that. And if they were to do like heroic units or super units like that, would that pave the way for them to do other super units? Like, could you do like a Han, Chewie, Luke, Leia, Lando, 3PO, and R2, type of unit? Like that would be. I would love something like that. But so if they could manage stuff like that, that would be great. But yeah, I think the Rebels crew will show up. I don't know if it'll just be like one-offs, like special person here, commander here, or if they'll actually function like a trooper unit. Next up, the ATTE. So Rex's ATTE from Rebels. So we're still kind of on the Rebels path here. This thing might be a little big for the game, but boy, wouldn't it be awesome. And it's like one of the only like large walker compatible things that the Rebels would have available to them. Stuff that the Rebels were using leftovers from the Clone Wars. Again, this is kind of cutting into the idea of prequel factions. I'm still a fan of prequel factions. I would definitely want them to get stuff like that, but I think this one would be a really fun one, especially if it was this one. I think a better way to sell an ATTE would be to sell it with all of these extra, lines and pulleys and all the extra apparatus that they added to this thing as optional. So you can have more of a pristine or bare bones left over ATTE, or you can build yours to look more like Rex's, and you can add pieces. So and that would be perfect with the stuff that they're doing for this game, because I've already added extra guns and stuff to some of mine, and I love that this game has this whole deal going on where you can just kind of modify and customize your units, and an ATTE here would be great for that purpose. And also you could actually like stack units, like because they're walking around on top of it, so it's got a deck, and like that would be so cool if you could have your actual units standing on top of this thing, walking around as it moves. That would be really, 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 really fun. Even if it's a little bit too large, I think it would be so much fun that it would make it worth it. Maybe it only gets to move once per game. Maybe that's this thing. Maybe that's what you do with large units like this. Maybe they only get to move one time this way. Who knows? Next up, a Rogue One infantry kind of based unit. So because there were so many on my in the community section on YouTube where I basically I'll interact with you guys and ask questions. There were so many people saying things like Death Troopers, Shore Troopers, Bays Malbas, Chirrut Imwe. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put this all together as one because I think it makes a lot of sense. All of these, maybe a whole wave for all of this is my next prediction. There was so much goodness in this Battle of Scarif that fits right into Legion that it almost would seem like a sin to leave all of this stuff out. So I'd love to see a lot of this. I think Chirrut would be a really fun one to do, though. It'd be like, but the question would be like, do you give him a Force upgrade or not? And it'd be hard. It'd be hard to find the appropriate solution to make him Force sensitive while not necessarily having mastery of the Force. So I don't know if you can give him a Force upgrade or not, or if you just have to give him some kind of keywords that show that he is one with the Force and the Force is with him. It'd be interesting. And then you could even give, or maybe a new upgrade slot, maybe like a luck kind of upgrade slot, and give Baze one of those, and like give Chirrut like 3, and then Baze just gets 1, because like it comes back to him at the very end. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too experimental there. But like Death Troopers definitely are high up on the list. Shore Troopers would be really fun to paint, although they might be challenging because they have a lot more colors going on with them than normal Stormtroopers do. But I think with all those extra colors they have, it gives people a little more flexibility. Like maybe you want to swap out the blue for green, or swap out the blue for yellow, or something like that. That's on their breast and shoulder there. So a lot of interesting possibilities with a wave like this, and a lot of different commander potential too. Like I could see Jyn or Cassian both being commanders, or even if we wanted to go a little more high level, maybe General Draven or Mon Mothma could potentially come into play there. A lot of cool stuff. So yes, a Rogue One wave is next up on my list of predictions. This one is heavily influenced by you guys, so thank you for all those predictions. We have a few more though. So next up, totally different direction here, creatures. And this is another grouped prediction. There were so many people asking for different creatures, I decided to put all of these together as one. A lot of requests for dewbacks and tauntauns. So and Rancor has always been my favorite, but you got to do it. If you're going to do a Rancor, you got to do it bigger and better than you did it in Imperial Assault, because it was nice in Imperial Assault, but it needs to be way bigger, way bigger. It needs to be about the size of an ATST. And oh man, can you imagine a Rancor that big? Like that? Basically, you might as well just go buy the toy, from the 3 3/4 inch line, and put that on your tabletop. I'm actually tempted to go. You know what? I might have to go browsing some of my local craft stores, or not craft stores, but like thrift shops and Goodwills and stuff, and looking for an old Rancor. See if I can find one and repaint it, and just put it on the tabletop for a fun battle, like, and have it be. And the thing is, like, if they're gonna do creatures, there's so many different ways, right? So many different ways you could approach this. Obviously, certain creatures of servitude, like tauntauns and dewbacks, are going to be under the control of their masters. Again, they've done this already they've done dewbacks in Imperial Assault. I don't think they've done tauntauns in any of their games yet, unless maybe the card game. I'm not sure. But Rancor, right? Unless you have a Rancor keeper, and this would be a cool one for if they did a Scum and Villainy faction. But man, a Rancor could be like rogue. It could do stuff on its own. It could just break free and attack everybody, which would be so cool. Imagine if it came with like a little AI deck or something like that, like draw a card. Oh, it goes crazy. It goes crazy. That would be really fun. I would really get a kick out of just having a Rancor on the field, but especially if his hands are such that he can hold minis. like have it and have his mouth open such that you can stick minis in his mouth too. Like you gotta have him be able to eat Darth Vader, or at least try to, or maybe have it, or maybe have the jaw move so you can have Darth Vader like forcing his mouth open, saying no. Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. So Rancors are or just creatures in general, I think are number 3. Next up, Ahsoka. A lot of requests for Ahsoka. We've already seen Force wielders, obviously, in this game. So it stands to reason, and I mean, there's a whole Force upgrade slot, so it stands to reason we'll get more Force wielders. Ahsoka was so popular, and she has experience leading troops from the Clone Wars and also from Star Wars Rebels, running, playing a major part in the rebellion. That she's, a natural contender to show up, and I think she would be tremendous. She might be one of the most powerful characters to hit the game, and that really is exciting. And she would look cool. She'd be she's always like a challenge to paint with the designs on her Leiku and all of her facial patterns and stuff. But that can also be a lot of fun. So I think she would be a great character to add to this game. Very excited to see Ahsoka show up. But again, cuts into the Rebels thing, and if they're going to do Rebels, then they'll probably do Ahsoka. But then that happened in Imperial Assault, so they may hold off a little while on this. Next up, of course, it was going to be the AT-AT, right? I've wanted the AT-ATs forever in this game, and I know are they going to be too big? Maybe they'll be too big. Maybe I don't care. Like I just want a bigger AT-AT, and again, the scale is such that you could probably just go buy the old Kenner toy and have it on your desk, and I think it's about at the appropriate scale there. But I want one in FFG quality, I've got the old Wizards of the Coast one, and that one looked kind of about right for Imperial Assault. But this a lot of stuff in Imperial Assault wasn't the right scale. Like the ATSTs weren't exactly right. The tank is grossly, it's a sliding scale, and that's fine. But the ATST the AT-AT for Wizards of the Coast is just not big enough for this game, for Legion. It's just not. Like you put an ATST next to it, it almost comes up to it. It's almost as big. So I'm like, it's just. If they had miniature AT-ATs, like, AT-AT minis, then it would be fine, but it doesn't, and so the real question is going to be, how do you make them move? Do you do some kind of trick, like where, okay, they're stationary, and a lot of us have asked the same questions about how a Superstar Destroyer would work in Armada. Is it stationary? Is it going to move like only once per game, or is it going to have a special movement tool to indicate that it only moves a little bit? I mean, something that big probably doesn't need to move anyway. So it'd be a lot of fun, and it'd just be great to get those giant models on your tabletop. Just or then even when you're not using them, they can go on the shelf behind you, and you're like, oh, this is the crown jewel of my collection. Gaze upon all my miniatures and my bigatures, and know that I am a Star Wars fanatic. That's kind of, I don't know, that's the vibe I'm going for, I guess. That's what I want. So I just hope they do it, because FFG has good quality stuff, and the fact that if it could actually be compatible with your game, that'd be great. Because, I could just go buy one from Kenner or something like that, but it's not going to... it's not going to look as good, and it's not the same. I want to be able to show up to like the Epic Game Day, and everybody's playing their Epic games, and we're all homebrew is nice for rules sometimes, but it's better if you can just play with people without having to explain. All right, so how are we going to handle the rules? Because then you're just making up your own game at that point. So yes, this has been the list with a lot of your guys' feedback coming into this list for the top 10 things I think we'll see at Legion. Now, I know the timing of me putting this list out is kind of small, weaker, because of the fact that Tuesday is the Hyperspace Report. So we're going to get some news for all of our games, very soon. So we'll see what we got right, what we got wrong. If they spoil anything that's completely off this list, completely unexpected stuff, it'll be interesting. I also have a winner to announce. There has been a giveaway for a $20 gift card, and our winner is going to be Michael LaPierre. So congratulations, Michael. You just won a $20 Cool Stuff gift card. Just send me a message on the back end of my channel, and I'll get your contact information. And next giveaway will start soon. So make sure you guys are subscribed and leave a comment to make sure so you're entered for that next giveaway. It's as simple as that. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to check out my Discord and Crabbok.com for all the latest guides and news and updates and erratas, rules reference guide, FAQ documents. I have it all linked there. It can be your one-stop shop for all of your tabletop gaming needs. Or at least that's kind of what we're going for. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.